I'm Megan. I've worked in museums for now almost 20 years. I stumbled into a job at Boston Children's Museum and found that that was the place that I wanted to be, working with kids and families, because I feel like you can do a lot more radical, interesting work in that context than in some of the other more traditional museum settings. So in the Playwork principles, which are 8 principles that guide playworkers in their practice, they define play as a process that is freely chosen, personally directed, is intrinsically motivated. So you were doing it for the sake of doing it. Now, an easier definition in the words of a kid is something like this. Play is what I do when everyone else stops telling me what to do. Playwork is a profession that emerged in the United Kingdom and in Japan and in Scandinavia, parts of Scandinavia. And it's now a profession that you can get your bachelor's degree in, your master's degree, and recently your PhD. So it's a highly skilled, trained profession. And one of the professors who teaches in this profession, Fraser Brown, talks about playwork as it's basically removing barriers to play and enriching the play environment. And then the role of the play worker is to create flexible environments which are substantially adaptable or controllable by the children. So it seems pretty simple and straightforward in many ways. One of the things that's essential to play work is that you look at kids in a very different way than you might otherwise. You look at them with this unconditional positive regard. At the museum and in other contexts, it can be really simple. So in this image, this is this bookshelf area that was designed by one of our artists. And it's not really designed for climbing, though it looks really fun for climbing. And so you might sit there and watch a kid do something like this and think, do I go in and say no because the rules say you're not supposed to climb on it? Should I stop them from doing it? Or can she do it? Can she get through? And maybe I just don't say anything at that moment. Playwork is all about it depends on the situation. And it's very hard to follow very specific rules to say you do this or you don't do this. It's all about the moment. Morgan Lecter-Saxby, who is a playworker who has been traveling across the United States last couple of years, sharing this idea of playwork, kind of call her the Johnny Appleseed of playwork. And she calls playwork a third path. So it's not the straight and narrow, follow the rules. And it's not everything goes. So it's not, now you can do anything, because that's not the case. Kids can't do anything that they want in these spaces. It's somewhere in between that. It's not yes and, like an improv, which we talk about, but it's more of a yes if. So yes, you can climb through that bookshelf because I know that you're wearing shoes that aren't going to get caught up in it. And I know that there's some padding nearby, so if you fall, it's not going to be that big a deal. But there is this idea of playful learning as play as progress. The guy on the left there is Brian Sutton Smith, who is a play theorist. He is sort of famous. You may have heard this quote that play is not the opposite of work. Play is the opposite of depression. And sometimes it's attributed to Stuart Brown, who has a really great TED Talk, but he's quoting Brian Sutton Smith. So that in play you want to do more. In play you feel like you have the capacity to seek more in your life. And when you're depressed, you want to do less. So if you think about play in that way, play is what makes us who we are. Play is what makes us happy. Play is what motivates us. But often we think of, play as how children learn. So when we look at a child in a pretend veterinarian's office and the child is pretending to administer something to this dog, we say, oh, look, she's playing at what it might be like to be a veterinarian someday. Now, she might be doing that, or she might be just figuring out how to jab this puppy with something. We always make it, how do we instrumentalize play so that we can show that it's helping to socialize kids towards a future career? But play is just what makes us who we are, thinking about what is really flexible about our environments, what can be adapted and controlled by children, and adapted and controlled on a large scale or on a small scale, what can really be shifted. And Playwork is about thinking about that. And it's not all at once. We've made some incremental changes. And children's museums are really good at playful learning. That's kind of what we're known for. And when I think about Playwork, I wonder actually whether Playwork is even a good fit for children's museums if we're really focused on the learning aspects itself.